Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome back to Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. Free agency. We've been doing so much draft. Free agency is upon us. We'll start legal tampering period early next week, and free agents will be signing by Wednesday. And the Bengals are expected to be active in that department with a ton of cash, a ton of cap to spend, which has been broken down on Bengals on the Brain. If you want to go back and see that, it's all on my Twitter page as well, at Joe Goodberry, where you can find out what the Bengals are doing and how much they have to spend, even with extensions for the big three, which, as the time I'm recording this, maybe T. Higgins has been signed. Doesn't matter. They've got a ton of money, and they've got an area that needs to be fixed that we're going to focus on today. Before we do that, a lot of the data I'm going to pull, a lot of the visuals you're going to see here are from a spreadsheet that we do every single year. So if you're new to this, we have a spreadsheet put together by myself, Jake Lisco, James Rapine, Mike Santagata, and Neil Engelberger, guys you can all find on Twitter and other publications and other podcasts and whatever you're listening to, how you get your Bengals news. We come together, we rank and grade and score some of these free agents. It spits them out, and it's a spreadsheet. And there'll be a link below. I sent it to Dave, our producer here, and he's going to put it in the bottom. So when at the end or while you're doing this, if you want to look at it and visualize it with me, click on that link, and it'll bring it to the spreadsheet, and I'll have all the players available in free agency, and we'll gray them out as they sign with other teams to eliminate them, and we can follow along, and it's a good time. It makes free agency a little more fun when you've got a visual of who is available. So today's episode is a big area that the Bengals have to address, and they will address. I mean, that's why there's some we could spend time looking at, like safeties, but what if they don't sign a safety? There's a chance they don't. We could spend some time looking at defensive ends, and what if they don't sign defensive ends? There's a chance they don't. There's a chance they just keep Cam Sample and Joseph Osai. One position, after releasing Alex Kappa earlier this week, that they will upgrade. Upgrade's a hard. We don't know that they will upgrade. They may try to upgrade. We may sell it as an upgrade. We may believe it's an upgrade. But one position that they plan on addressing is the offensive guard spot that the Bengals have struggled with for so long now, especially let's just look in the Joe Burrow era, starting guys like Michael Jordan and Hakeem Adeniji and Alex Redmond and Xavier Su'a-Filo and Quinton Spain. And even, I mean, the last couple of years, we're like, hey, Cordell Volson's not those guys. At least he's okay. Alex Kappa gave him the best right guard play they've had in a long time, probably since Kevin Zeitler left. But then this last year, it came crashing down. And now they need to address both positions. Luckily, there's a lot of options to choose from. Let's dive in and set the stage first of what it looks like, what we're looking for, and then we'll dive into a few of these guys that I think could be value signings, or this is who I'm targeting, and they'll be one of the first guys I'll bring up. This is the guy I think we want and need at the right guard spot. But first, let's look at the positions. So here at the top, I have the Bengals' current and past offensive line grades. These are true pass sets from PFF. So first we'll start, what's a true pass set? True pass set, we're going to eliminate screens. We're going to eliminate quick passes. We're going to eliminate any situation where it's a blitz or you've got a couple guys you got to block and they're sending multiple guys at you. We just want to know, what do these guys look like in drop back passing situations, right? So if you look, 2020 is at the top. Jonah Williams was really the only good lineman they had that year. Trey Hopkins was serviceable. Also, we should probably say, if you don't use PFF grades, 55 and up, 55 to 65 is average, right? So you'll take that. You can't have a full offensive line of that. Like we get to 2021, the Super Bowl year, and you got Jonah and Trey Hopkins. Hopkins barely scratching the barrel, bottom of the barrel for average. Jonah being decent, but Isaiah Prince, Hakeem Adeniji, and Quinton Spain, that's not what you want, right? Go to 2022, and this is their best pass blocking year. Cordell Volson as a rookie, you're okay with a 54, 53.9. La'el Collins was good until he got hurt, but in true pass sets, he wasn't really good. If you remember that, He could still run block. He was still powerful. But when it came time, he had to have that extra split where he had to stay away from Alex Kappa. There was a big gap between he and Alex Kappa because he couldn't get out of his stance fast enough. Alex Kappa was very good in 2022. Ted Karras, his first year for Karras and Kappa, both were excellent signings right away to start free agency in 2022, if you remember. Then 2023, the upgrade with Orlando Brown at the left side. He didn't have a great year. Jonah Williams kicks to the right side, has his worst year, but still 53. You could survive with that. But again, if everyone's a 53, which Alex Kappa dropped to after an injury in 2022, Ted Karras has his worst year at a 63, and then Cordell Volson is starting to get exposed, and defenses are realizing how to attack him. He's not really strong laterally. You could do stunts on his side, and he just does not see him. And then we go to 2024. Orlando Brown has a bounce back despite the injury. I think this is what he looks like most of the time. We will take a 67, just slightly above average. Cordell Volson continues to get attacked. Not what you want. 29. Ted Karras has a very good year at center as in pass blocking. Alex Kappa is just degraded very, very quickly, which leads to his release, obviously. And Amarius Mims is solid at a 57.3, the best they've had at right tackle in Joe Burrow's era. We expect that to increase if he gets like 60, 62, 63 next year. That'll be a nice upgrade at right tackle. So what are we looking at? We've got all below here now are the free agents that had enough snaps to qualify for a true pass set grade. There's a few guys here that missed the entire year. Guys like Herbig from the Steelers, right? Formerly of the Eagles. There's a few others that missed time, and these are 2024 grades. So you can compare how did this guy do? Like first we got Trent Brown too, who was a Bengal, 41 last year in true pass sets. Trent Brown wasn't bad in his first couple of games playing, but in true pass sets, when they had to drop back and pass the ball, Trent Brown was a bit of a liability. Then you got guys like Cody Ford, who was a 47.7 last year. This is at left tackle and left guard. I think he played a little bit at right tackle as well when Marius Mims went down after Trent Brown was out. Which was an upgrade to Cordell Volson in true pass sets, if you're wondering why they made that move. So that makes sense there. But is Cody Ford a long-term answer? Is he an upgrade for the full season? No, he's basically Quinton Spain, who lost you the game in the Super Bowl, right? He's basically just under Cordell Volson as a rookie. So that's not what you want. That's why we have all 5 years to compare here, because you may look at somebody real quick and you say, you know what? This guy is better than what we've had last year. Anyone would be an upgrade over Alex Kappa and his 32. Let me get James Daniels, 55. I agree. I like James Daniels, but at 55 is where Alex Kappa was in 2023. And people were upset with Kappa after that season. So let's try and shoot a little bit higher. Let's look at this list. We really don't need a left tackle or a right tackle. Some of these guys could probably play guard. Like Dan Moore Jr., I think he's going to get paid. But if there was any concern about Dan Moore Jr. from the Steelers, and he was out there in week 2 of free agency, similar to Orlando Brown, I would say, hey, come play left guard for us. And because I think he'd be a better guard than a tackle, similar to Jonah Williams. These guys typically aren't open to that switch. I'm just saying, if you want to look at the tackles and project some of them to play guard, I think Jedrick Wills is a guy that I could, not me personally, maybe Scott Peters could. Can we get him into a guard position and say, listen, you haven't survived so much at left tackle, but we can put you at left guard and you'll have a better career, maybe a Pro Bowl career, maybe a Mekhi Becton type situation. He's a good example. Now about to get paid. Mekhi Becton, though, 56.6 last year in true pass sets. We would take that. Is it a complete upgrade from Alex Kappa and not from 2022 Alex Kappa? Mekhi Becton's never really had that success, but we would take it. Now, we're looking at guards, and some of these centers can play guard. Austin Corbett spent more of his career as a guard. I think Bradley Bozeman can play guard. Braden Christensen, to me, is more of a guard than a center. Robert Hainsey has played guard, I believe, or was considered a guard center prospect coming out. So he's a guy that you could put over there. These guys are kind of sorted based on that spreadsheet I told you you'll get in the link below. Based on the tier list, we have these guys. So a couple guys I want to point out first. Kevin Zeitler. I would love to have Kevin Zeitler. I would love to have Teven Jenkins. I would love to have Brandon Scherf. Right off the bat, Teven Jenkins has actually played just as much left guard as he has right guard, so flip them. Most of these guys are listed as where they played the most in 2024. So So we're clear on that. But Jenkins is left guard just as much. I'd be happy with any of these guys. Now, Zietler and Scherf are old. So will the Bengals go that route? Don't know. Guys that people are going to mention a lot, Will Freeze with his 68.5. We would take a 68.5, no doubt about it. Alex Kappa was very good in 2022. The guy I want to focus on first is Will Hernandez. And I'm going to pull up his PFF grading here. I already got it set up for you guys. He was a second-round pick, 34th overall in 2018 by the New York Giants, if you remember, out of the UTEP Miners, University of Texas, El Paso. If you didn't know what that was, he's 29 and a half right now. So this will be his year 30 season. The Bengals have dipped into the 30 range for offensive linemen, 29 to 30. Riley Reef, I want to say, was 30. Lael Collins was 29. Xavier Su'a-Filo was 29. So are we talking 1-2 year deal for Will Hernandez? I think that's probably what it is. Let's go down to his career, though, down at the bottom here, season grades. You can see from 2018 to 2024, look over to the right here, pass blocking. Besides these 2 years where it seemed like they had a bad O-line coach, he has been a very, very good pass blocker. His run blocking is average. It's decent. You'll take it. But, for the Bengals, we're talking, why are we focusing on pass blocking so much? I know they need to run block better, and we need to protect Joe Burrow at all times. When he's protected, Joe Burrow's numbers are insane. But if you go over to the right too, right guard the last 5 years, left guard the first 3 years, he could play both if you absolutely need him to. He seems to be more comfortable at right guard, and I would keep him there. But either way, and it was only 280 snaps last year. I think it was 5 games, and then he got hurt. So not ideal for Will Hernandez. Go to his 2024 season here. You can see, I think it was 5 games, and then he got hurt. But you can see in 5 games, 3 of them were really good. 2 of them against LA and Detroit, not so good. That'll happen. He was charged with 3 pressures and 4 pressures in those games. No sacks, though. If you look at his sacks each year, 0 last year, 4, 3, 7 in 2021. Again, that's when I said he scored his worst. So if you look at it, he's been a very good pass blocker for a long time. I would take him. I think that is an upgrade for sure, and somebody that I would be all over and say, you know what? While people are over here fighting for Teven Jenkins at 12, 13, 14, 15 million, let's see, Mekhi Becton, maybe he gets paid crazy. Maybe Will Freeze gets paid crazy. Jump right into Will Hernandez. Give him a 2-year deal, decent money. Maybe it's like $8 million per year. Maybe it's exactly what you're giving Alex Kappa. Take that money and give it to Will Hernandez. And I think you've got an upgrade at right guard. Not only was he a 76 last year in his 5 games, you could see from the numbers we pull up, he's consistently been better than what these last 5 right guard situations have been for the Bengals. I'd be all over Will Hernandez. The next guy I want to talk about is Teven Jenkins, because if we want to spend money, you may say, I don't want a 29, 30-year-old. Maybe one of them could be like a 29, 30, 31, 33, 35, 36-year-old like Kevin Zeitler, Brandon Scherf. I would take them on a 1-year deal. No doubt about it. I would even 2-year deals, because these guys haven't looked like they've slowed down that much. But if you wanted to spend, who is the big target at guard, in my opinion? I just saw an article that said Aaron Banks was going to get paid. He is not good. He's never been good. Please do not sign Aaron Banks, Bengals. Teven, especially not in pass pro. He's been a solid run blocker. No, don't go there. Teven Jenkins, though. Let's pull up his profile, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Another premium pick, 2nd round, 39th overall. Yes, the Bengals should have taken him over Jackson Carman, despite the injuries, especially his first year. Whatever. The last 3 years would have been worth it. Out of Oklahoma State, 6'6", 321. He was considered to be a tackle. Nasty player. Very physical. Would drive over people. Just turned 27 years old. So if you sign him to a 3-year deal, that'll be years 27, 28, 29. That's perfect. Even if you want to give him a 4-year deal, if that's what it required to get him, he's going to be the top free agent, in my opinion, at guard. So it may require a 4-year deal. That brings him the age 30 season. That doesn't kill you. You can take that if you're the Bengals. But if you look, I want to first start with his snaps. 160 as a rookie, 576 in 2022, 731 and 738 the last 2 years. About 1,000 snaps is normal for a regular season. So he's playing the last couple of years about 73% of the snaps. Just not ideal, right? You look at his snap breakdown to the right here. He's got 852 at right guard. He's got 1,000, just under 1,200 at left guard. He's got a couple at left tackle. His durability has been the issue. It's been back injuries and things like that, just minor injuries, nagging injuries. Durability has been an issue. But again, looking at a guy who's fulfilling the prophecy, I guess, because everyone liked him coming out. He's graded really well as a run blocker throughout his career, but his pass blocking is slowly ticking up. 65, just under 69, just under 76. This is how you get a Trey Hendrickson signing, because maybe the guy is undervalued because he's had issues. He's still going to get, like, Trey Hendrickson still got 15 million per year. Teven Jenkins may get 15 million per year. My point is, you see that flash now at the end there at the final season, grading like a 76 in pass protection. I would take that. I would be all for it. This isn't a guy who is often penalized. He doesn't give up a ton of sacks. 4-3, 2-2 in limited time. So I guess you could really say 4-3-4 if you combine these two seasons to compare with that one. That is, like, this is where you get these guys. Free agency, you're not getting studs. You rarely get Trent Williams in free agency. The guys you get are a Teven Jenkins. If you could pair Teven Jenkins at left guard and Will Hernandez at right guard, your upgrade in pass protection, and it may cost you, if we're saying 15 million for Teven Jenkins and 8 million for Will Hernandez, it may cost you 23 million bucks. But your interior of your offensive line will be that much better. And that's when you keep Cordell Volson and say, listen, if Jenkins can't make it for 3 games a year, similar to T. Higgins, Cordell, you're going to have to step in. Cody Ford, you're going to have to step in. You need a veteran guy back there. And I would still draft one, because Will Hernandez being 29, 30 years old this year, that's when you draft one in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, but you don't have to force it the way they currently are right now. We've got a couple other guys I want to bring up. Next one of this grouping to me is Will Freeze. And I don't think it's Fries. I've even heard some people say Will Freeze, Will Fries. I'm going to say Freeze for now. That's the way I've always said it. I could be incorrect. I've never heard his name spoken during a game because he plays offensive line, and that's how it goes. These guys you don't get spoken. No one talks about offensive line unless you mess up. And he didn't mess up very often last year. Now, we're pulling up his PFF. He is a 7th round pick, 250th overall out of the Penn State Nittany Lions in 2021, 6'6", 305. Just like Teven Jenkins, he'll be 27 years old this year. He is just behind him in age. He is basically exclusively played right guard with 2,000 snaps there. So he's a right guard. Now, if you go over his grading on the bottom left side for his career, didn't play much as a rookie, of course, 7th round pick. Got to play a bunch his second year, but was really bad in pass protection. Then in solid run defender or run blocker, sorry. And then year 3, 2023, played 1,100 snaps, decent, 65 in pass pro. You'll take that. 9 penalties, 97 efficiency. 97 is, you'll take that at guard, no doubt. 4 sacks, 30 pressures. That is baseline. I don't want any worse than that if I'm protecting Joe Burrow. And then last year, again, only 5 games, similar to Will Hernandez, but he was really good in those 5 games. A 74.9 pass blocker, 85 run blocker, which PFF, if you're wondering about PFF grades, they value run blocking because it's harder to find a run blocker in today's NFL. So I think they value it just a little bit more. They balance. If you played 1,000 run block snaps and 1,000 pass block snaps, what would you look like? And because he graded so well, but no one ever plays that many. The split is never like that, right? It's a 153 to 115 split in favor of pass blocking. But that's a whole rant for another time. You got to understand what you're looking at with the data. 268 snaps total. He did give up 2 sacks in those games and still graded well. So, I mean, they had a statue back there in Joe Flacco, and also Anthony Richardson, who his pocket presence is dreadful. Other than that, though, graded really well. So is this a guy on the rise? Is he going to get $6, $7, $8 million per year? Half of what Teven Jenkins is going to get. But you're trying to capture, like, maybe this guy is going to be good. Maybe he's just getting into his own. Doesn't have the pedigree that Teven Jenkins has as a former premium pick versus a 7th rounder. Still, I like him. I think he'd be worth it if the value's correct. If he starts getting in, and I've seen projections, $11, $12 million for him, I'm out. There's just too much of a gamble there. He's never really been good for an extended period. Most of his snaps would be 2022 and 2023, which if you average these together and slightly gave him the boost for 1,100 snaps in 2023, if you factor that in more, he'd be in the mid-50s here. And mid-50s is what we've had at right guard for most of the time, right? That's like 2023 Alex Kappa. There's a lot of these guys here that are mid-50s. It's still good. It's James Daniels, though. It's Mekhi Becton. It's maybe older Brandon Scherf. I wouldn't say that I have to be in on that. There's a couple other guys here, though, like Matt Pryor, who I think has more upside in him, could be a very cheap signing that makes sense. I think James Daniels, despite I believe it was an Achilles, he missed pretty much all of last year after two uh, really good games. I'll bring up James Daniels real fast on here because James Daniels has been a guy I've liked forever. We're talking a second round pick, another premium pick, 39th overall. They should have taken him over Billy Price. I said it at the time. Iowa Hawkeye, usually good bets for those guys. 6'4", 327. 327 is his weight. He was slight at one point, so this may have been updated. Again, he's 27. A ton of time at right guard the last few years. One season, that's half a season at center, and a bunch of left guard early in his career. But look at his grading. Between Chicago and Pittsburgh, he's been solid, steady. Never been a great pass protector, but an above average pass protector for most of his career. This low 54 here, only 300 snaps, so maybe it would have leveled off throughout the season. 2023, not great. Bounced back a little bit in 2024, but again, only 4 games before getting injured. Where's his health at? When is he coming back? What's he going to look like? I would be in favor of a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-year deal, maybe it's incentives, whatever it is. I've been a big fan of James Daniels. He's an elite athlete as well for a long time. I think at the very least, he stabilizes your right guard spot, and he can play left guard, so you can figure it out, right? Depending on who you get. But he's someone that I'd be going after for sure. If you're wondering about Mekhi Becton, because a lot of people are, I could see Becton getting paid and probably more than he should. But again, another premium pick, 11th overall out of Louisville. You guys know who he is, 6'7", 363. He'll be 26 years old this year. If you go look at his grading, even with Philly this year, it wasn't great. He's always been a great run blocker, which is why his grade looks the way it does. Again, so if you just looked at the overall grade and said, oh, he's good, there are times if you go watch the film when he was isolated in pass protection where he wasn't so good. I said 97 is good for an efficiency, right? 96.7. So he's just below that. 95 the year before that, 96.1. So he's more of a 96 guy in efficiency, which means he's going to allow a decent amount of pressures, 50 pressures for the Jets in 2023. Now, the Jets are a mess, but if his upside for the best O-line coach in the league is only a 64 at pass pro, and maybe he needs more time. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he can get better. Maybe he'll be a 66, 67, 68. Fine. I would take it. I just want to cool the Jets a little bit on this, that people think he was excellent last year. He wasn't. He saved his career. He's probably going to get a decent deal because of it now, because he can play guard, but he wasn't some really great player at right guard last year. Really good run blocker, though. And the Bengals need to run block, so that's why I'd be for it, because he's still young and a former premium pick, and his upside flashes are incredible. Plus, I want to field an entire team of 6'7", 363 pounders. Get Trent Brown. Yeah. Mekhi Becton right guard, Trent Brown left guard. Surround him, put little Ted Karras in the middle, make Ted Karras look real tiny, and just road grade. I'd be for it. So that's it for the right side. I am interested in guys like Matt Pryor and Tristan Colon as well. So I would take any of these, probably from Cologne up. I'm even interested in Dylan Radins. I think there's still a little bit there. That's a former premium pick, second rounder. Kendrick Green was a first rounder, I want to say. Terrible. He's been absolutely terrible. But I'm base level, veteran minimum deals. I would take both those guys just to see if there's anything there. Moving to left guard real quick. Like I said, Jenkins can play left guard, has played left guard. James Daniels has played left guard as well. Patrick Mercari, he's going to be at the top of the list. Has he benefited a little bit from Lamar Jackson? It seems like everyone grades really well in pass protection for the Ravens, probably because teams are not actually rushing them because they're worried about Lamar running. Dalton Reisner, probably be the last guy signed to this entire grouping because that's what happens every year. Something's wrong. I don't know why the league doesn't like him. He stinks. Like, maybe he's got body odor. Maybe he's got bad breath. Maybe he's just a terrible person, but the guy can play and continues to play. I would take Dalton Reisner. The Bengals should have done it 3 years ago when he was bouncing around. He would have found a home in Cincinnati. Give him that 1-year deal, 2-year deal, whatever it may be. The underrated guy for me, it's a guy I've been on for years, is Evan Brown, and I've got him pulled up as well. Evan Brown was undrafted by the New York Giants, or signed with the New York Giants in 2018 at SMU. 6'3", 320. He's played center. He's played guard. He's 28 years old this year. He has an elite RAS, relative athletic score. So he was an athlete that went undrafted that was really good in pass protection. And then you look at what he did between Miami and the Giants, nothing really to write home about there. Signed with Detroit, who's got the best offensive line in the league, maybe, but the Eagles, that's probably top 3. They found a way to use him. He had to play when Frank Ragnow went down. He played a bunch of center this year in 2021. I'm looking at the bottom here if you're with me. A 72 in pass pro. And I was like, man, that Evan Brown looked really good. I said 97 is good for efficiency. He hit 98.9 that year in pass block efficiency. And I'm like, okay, the next year he's got to play right guard. Doesn't grade as well in pass protection. You see that 45. We don't want that, right? It's better than the 29, 30 we had last year, but we don't want to dip into the 40s. But he had a 69.5 run blocking, equal out to be a near 65. And that's at playing right guard. So I'm like, okay. He goes back to left guard. He's a free agent this year in 2023. I said the Bengals should sign this guy. I think he's quality. I think he was a restricted free agent in 2022, and I said the Bengals should sign him. And they signed 2 guys, so whatever. But then 2023, he's let go. Gets to play pretty much the whole year at center for Seattle. Not very good. In the 50s, we said that's baseline. He's in the 97s the last couple years here that I say aren't very good for pass block efficiency. Then he goes to Arizona this past year. In Arizona, we looked at Will Hernandez. They've got a couple guys that I'd be interested in. I thought their offensive line coach, who ended up going to the Cowboys as their coordinator, was a really good. He got these guys to play really well. He played 1,000 snaps, all at left guard. He had a 73.5 pass block grade. He had a 98.2 efficiency, only 2 penalties, only 2 sacks, only 20 pressures. We're talking about these other guys that giving up 30 pressures. You look at the last 3 years for Evan Brown, 4 years, really. 8 pressures, 22, 27, 20, 2 sacks, 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 1 sack. The guy's been quality. He's not going to get paid a ton, and he's been a solid starter. I'm not saying he's a Pro Bowler, right? The only guys in here that probably have Pro Bowl upside are Kevin Zeitler, Teven Jenkins, Brandon Scherf, maybe Mekhi Becton. Maybe James Daniels can get there. Patrick McCarry, maybe. Dalton Risner, no. The league just doesn't like him. I'm not saying Evan Brown does either. But you start getting down there and we're just looking for average guys. We're looking for upgrades to Volson and Jordan and Spain. And if the best we've gotten was a 54 in pass protection at left guard over the last 5 years, well, give me Evan Brown's 54 as a baseline, and I think you'll be all right with that. But I would be in on Dalton Risner. I'll bring him up real fast, bring up the last couple guys real quick, not go over everything that we have. I pretty much talked about all the free agent guards at this point. But if you look, go right down here. Again, another former premium pick, 41st overall, 6'5", 312. He'll be 30 this year. Look at these. Look at the pass protection grades. Never amazing, but if you're saying 67 to 76 is what I'll get, but he's a below average run blocker, well, guess what? I'm in. And he's bounced around between Denver and Minnesota, getting signed late every time. He's a 97 career pass block efficiency, 9 penalties in his career, guys. That's like 1 to 2 penalties per year. He's had years without a penalty at all. No penalties last year. He hasn't given up a sack since 2022.
Okay, I haven't had a carb since 2004. Check these out. See these? See these, boys? This is what I live with every day.
So, you're telling me you want to take this guy, 16 pressures last year, 30 pressures the year before that. He's a 20 to 30 pressure guy that'll give maybe 2 sacks per year. He had a couple years where he had 3 and 4, but he's had 3 seasons where he did not allow a sack. Give me Dalton Risner. Jump out of the gates and go get Will Hernandez and Dalton Risner, right? 76 here, 73 here. And put the best offensive line you've had in front of Joe Burrow and roll with it. I'm serious. They should be on that, and that would be the path to go. But there's a lot of other guys that I would like and I think are very good. Kevin Zeitler is still very, very good. I should pull that up just because he's our guy still. I'd love a good story where we get Kevin Zeitler here, we win the Super Bowl, and he makes the Ring of Honor eventually. Look at this. Can you imagine letting this guy go in his prime? 86, 85, 83 in pass protection, 81, 92, 75, 68. Oh, no, he's terrible. The Giants got to cut him. 79, 82, 82, and 71 last year with great run blocking for Detroit because Detroit can run block. The dude is still good. Career, 98 pass block efficiency. Career. Kevin Zeitler, still good. Bring him home. Former premium pick. We should have started with that because, we did that to so many of these guys. So many of these targets are draft crushes of mine. Kevin Zeitler, bring him home, win the chip, put him in the Ring of Honor. Bang. So as you can see, plenty of options on the offensive line, especially at guard. So maybe some tackles that can play guard, centers that can play guard as well that we really didn't get to, but those would take projections. So, not really comparable in a data form. You'd have to watch the film and see if they look like they can do that. Different skill set for guard than it is tackle and for center, but that's a whole other conversation. As I was uploading the last segment and cutting it, the Chiefs traded Joe Thuney, All-Pro, probably Hall of Fame left guard, for a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chicago Bears. The Chiefs are going to need a guard. They already need a left tackle. They're reaching the tight part of their Super Bowl stretch, their dynasty, because they don't spend a lot of cash. They're very similar to the Bengals in that way. So we'll see how they manage it. It'll be interesting to see it from their perspective because they're not too dissimilar from the Bengals in a lot of ways. They're an aggressive Bengals version. But when it comes to spending cash and having a lot of liquid money, it doesn't seem like they do. So it'll be interesting. The Bengals got to get these deals done. I'm recording this today. It's Wednesday. This comes out Friday. I'm hoping they get T. Higgins done by the start of free agency. If not, that $26 million is basically sawed off what they have, until you can extend T and lower that number. They know they want to lower Chase's number. They'll probably increase Hendrickson's number a little bit. So in the end, it's probably a bit of a wash. Maybe 10 million bonus. We've done this, 10 million extra space to play with, all things they project to happen. But at the same time, you want this cash and you want the liquidity. Did I say that right? First try, I think, to be able to go and play in free agency. And I think they need two guards. So whether that's spending big on Teven Jenkins or taking solid shots at Dalton Reisner and Will Hernandez, which that pairing, you probably get it for $14 million total for the two of them. I'd be for it. You don't have to spend too much. You don't have to get too crazy. If we're looking at the free agent spreadsheet, again, down below in the description, remember, anyone over like $20 million in guaranteed money is probably out of their range. The largest guarantee they ever gave out was Orlando Brown Jr. at $30 million. And that was a huge free agent signing for them. Their biggest free agent signing of all time. So maybe they got to that. It's hard to project it when they're trying to sign Hendrickson, Chase, and Higgins. I think they'll play in the $15 million guaranteed range. So any of these projections, try and find out what that is. Maybe they get up to 20 where DJ Reader was back in 2020. Yeah. And get into that ballpark. But I think they want to play in the tier 3 guys, the Mike Hiltons, the Chidobe Awuzies, the Geno Stones. And there's plenty others that have succeeded for them, even on the offensive line. Tier 3 was a Karras and Kappa signing. I think that's where we're at. Again, this has been Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. The next time we speak, the season's here. Free agent tampering, maybe even some signings reported. I'm going to have to hold off as long as I can before I do the next episode. Until then, Hooday.
Hey, Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off-season for the First Star Media Group or First Star Logistics. Join me in the trenches and Joe Goodberry of Bengals on the Brain here on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content and special giveaways during the off-season. So please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to help us continue to grow the channel.